So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode, at the very end, we saw the Anatolian Empire make a crossing of the Strait of Gibraltar and start the invasion of Portugal, officially starting, whatever. I don't want to call it the Anatolian anti-coalition or whatever, but I think I'm going to call it the coalition of the Greeks or something. I did call it the anti-Anatolian, I did call it the anti-Anatolian coalition last episode, but I kind of want to call it the anti-expansion war or something. I think that's quite good. I think because the Anatolians are extremely expansionist. We are in the medieval ages at the minute. They're very expansionist, and these guys don't really like the expansionism, like colonialism. That's fine, but not expansionism in their eyes. So yeah, without anything else, let's just get into the war. Now, the Anatolian military could beat both Portugal and the Lime team probably combined. Actually, let's just do power rankings quickly, because why not? So number one in the world is the Anatolians. They are actually way ahead of everyone else by a load. They are definitely far the strongest country in the world at this point. Like, it's crazy. And yeah, they could probably just take over loads of stuff if they want to, but they're going to try and hold back for now. Number two is actually a tie. It goes to the Lime team and Japan, but I'm going to give the slight edge over to Japan and say that the Lime team is number three. Number four then is going to be China. Number five is going to be good old Germany over here. Number six, I'm going to say it's the Russians. Number seven, I'm going to give to the British Union. Number eight to Portugal. Well, actually, maybe I'll switch these two around, who knows. Number nine is going to go to Persia. And number 10 is kind of another tie between the French and the Dutch. I'm just going to say both 10. And I'm going to say this is more of a tie than these two, because this is actually just a straight on tie. They have pretty much the same thing everywhere. Very similar countries. Obviously they were in a union, but not really allowed anymore, so yeah, cry that way. Actually, before we get into this, there's actually going to be something interesting happening between the Dutch and the Germans. But I guess it's a short mini war before we get into the big war. But the Germans are going to they're going to actually kind of they're going to demand some lands. Lands that look something like this. They claim that they were stolen by the Dutch hundreds of years ago and it's their rightful lands. And they do have a high population of German speakers. So yeah. And the Dutch and the French kind of became like a puppet state of Germany. Not really, but like they kind of are after the War of Succession. But the Dutch are kind of starting to not like the Germans again. And they're going to get so angry that they decide to declare war on Germany. And it goes okay at first. You know, not the greatest. Then we realise how much stronger Germany is. There's quite a big gap between the Dutch and the Germans, really. Unfortunately, you see the Dutch get pretty much manhandled here by the Germans as they move into their territory. And the French are not going to be very happy with this. They are like, damn, dog, what are you doing? So they will threaten to cut all, I guess, resources coming from the Americas over to Germany if they don't stop this war. And Germany is just going to invade a little bit more in, and the Dutch are going to be like, the French are going to be like, we hate you. Eventually, the capital the capital is captured, and we see a peace treaty now. So over here, we see the Dutch cede a lot of pretty valuable populated areas over here to the Germans. They were quite a high German population in the first place. This is going to cause a lot of hatred to go between these two, but the Dutch are like even more being influenced by Germany now, so they're probably not going to be able to do anything about it. And yeah, the Germans have proved how strong they are. But anyway, let's get into the big war that everyone wants to see now. So we see now the Anatolians invade up now into the Portuguese areas in the south. This is going on while this war is going on, so yeah. And they are outclassing the Portuguese at first, making it to the border of the Lime team. Now, they don't want smoke with the Lime team. They only really want to care about Portugal, because they know the Lime team is quite strong. They don't exactly know how strong, but they know they are strong. And they're met with pretty good guns, but the guns they have are just like way better than the ones, like these guns are made by the Lime team. They're quite faulty, so yeah, they ain't really able to use them too well. But the military, I guess, general of Iberia or something, I don't know, he's extremely good as he nearly manages to encircle this major city down here. This will cause the Portuguese to clap back straight away, starting to invade into this area and doing pretty damn well. Yeah. We then have Lime team forces officially making their way into here, and this is gonna really start to make the Anatolians hate the Lime team as they see that they're helping them out now, and they say, yeah, that's it, we hate you. So what are they going to do? Well, a sensible thing they can think of, bring back the Sicilian rebellion. Yeah, 100%. So this southern Sicilian rebellion, which is like the 20th time in history it's come around, is back again. And it's actually going to be able to hold out a bit this time, considering the fact that the Lion team is at war and they're sending a lot of their troops over to Iberia, where it's more important. So yeah, and they are really wanting their independence. They are a lot closer to Albania in heritage than the Lion team, because, you know, history, they used to be owned by Albania. So yeah, we do end up seeing the Anatolians start to come around the coast over here, capturing this major city and threatening it, or actually getting to the gates of the next one and starting to do another encirclement. However, the Lime team forces are arriving in mass quantities now and starting to kick back the Anatolians over here and pushing through this. And then they even push over here and encircle these troops, which isn't good. And the Anatolians are getting slightly embarrassed over here. So what they're going to do is they're going to execute their general over here. And instead we see another guy will be put in charge of Iberia. And his name is, he's actually the son of the king. His name is Icaria. And Icaria is actually very good at defending, as they managed to kind of reconnect with these troops up here that were left for a while. They even start now an invasion of the Lime team, going along the Spanish coast like this, and also meeting up over here. And Icaria is starting to be called Great. We then see the Anatolians start to come up the coast of Iberia, or Portugal. And the good thing about Icaria is he also is a very good morale booster. He boosts the morale of a lot of people here, so yeah. As the encirclement is now redone, and we end up seeing complete encirclement of this city down here. We also have the forces starting to come up around the Lime team area, encircling in this city as well, so yeah. And going up the coast of Iberia once again, and they now pretty much own all of southern Iberia. I've cut Portugal off from the Mediterranean Sea. Then see the Anatolians start to go up a bit further, capturing that major city down there, and start to dig into the encirclement of this one. And yeah, this is one of the biggest major cities of Portugal. Down here, it's known as a southern city, and it's pretty populated. It's probably the third most populated city in Portugal. I'd say the second is like this one here maybe, and then the most populated is obviously the capital. But they are able to eventually, after a lot of guerrilla warfare, take it. This is quite costly, but it's worth it in the end. And yeah, they're happy now as they start to go out from the Lime team invasion and spike out a bit, fully encircling a lot of Lime team troops down here. This is actually like around 20,000 men being encircled here, so not good. And something about Icaria, he doesn't really care about genocide. Yeah, you know, his father, who is the king of Anatolia, or dictator king, whatever you want to call him, he does care about, I guess, freeing the people down here from the religion, which, as you can see, they've done a very good job at it. But Icaria, he doesn't care about religion really. All he cares about is war. And that is why he is so good, as he isn't focused on the genocide like other generals are. He's more focused now on just winning battles and actually leaving civilians alive. And he's actually treating the civilians down here quite nice at the minute. And that's to stop possible rebellions, even though there are lots of rebellions, and we can see some now actually. As these two areas down here will rebel away, and they don't like being kept under foreign control. So we do end up seeing the Anatolians push into them quite quickly, and they manage to take them out and obviously do bad things. But no one really knows about this, so yeah, it's kind of kept under the rug. But they managed to capture this city as well. And it's at this point that the King of Anatolia is saying, hey, you know, we can just sign a peace treaty now, and we can leave you alone. And everyone's like, no. But something bad's going to happen for Portugal now, as Italy is going to move about 50,000 troops away from this front line to go and help out with the rebellion down here. It's actually been starting to get pretty good at fighting the Portuguese, or not, the Italians, going up around here, actually circling off this peninsula and even taking the entire island of Sicily. That's quite big. But the Italians are going to be able to kick back against this, and they'll go into this territory down here now, and finally start their invasion. But then we see the Anatolians be pretty desperate now, so they're going to invade into here. They now own part of Sicily, and the Italians are going to be able to push them back quite quickly. You know, they're not invincible. They aren't the greatest naval power ever, but they're quite good. So yeah, pretty nice. We do see the Anatolians come up around the Italians now in Spain, and start to kick them in a bit more, going up the coast, and yeah. Just doing quite a lot of things, you know, it's like, okay, yes. But Akkar is going to start snaking up the coast around here, getting actually quite good, capturing a few major cities along the way. And yeah, the people over here, they are also from Albania's colony, so they kind of are welcomed a little bit with open arms, but not really, because, you know, like, genocide. So, nice, I guess. Anyway, now I'm going to turn this brush up a little bit because I think we need to. But we see the Anatolians start to do really good at a sweeping front around the capital of Portugal, nearly encircling it. And, you know, they're going to actually kind of hold a few, like, 1,000 troops over here, trying to fight. And they're going to send the rest actually into deeper Portugal, taking a lot more major cities that are quite valuable. But even I said, this one was the second most populated, so the China spearhead also up to this one as well, and it's actually going very well. Well. But we also see troops over here start to attack into the Lime team, reconnecting with this front down here, and they are more starting to snake up the coast now, and going into Catalonia, threatening the city instantly, as your ongoing siege here. They even come up and manage to capture the Balearic Islands from the Italians. But one of the worst things ever has now happened, as Portugal gets their capital encircled and their royal family is trapped. Eventually they know that they aren't going to be able to fight this for much longer, so they will send everyone else back, or all their royal family and stuff, over into the Americas, except for the king, who is the ruler of Portugal. He will decide to fight on until his country's end, as the Anatolians now start the march on the capital, and he is there in the fight, and he's a big morale booster, but in the end he gets captured and executed by Anatolian troops. His son will now take over in the Americas, as they will regroup over here, until possibly the Italians will be able to re-liberate them. Speaking of the Italians, they have now fully pushed the Anatolians out of Sicily, and will also continue, or actually start to push them back out of Catalonia, going deeper and trying to grab this major city back as well. Bad news for Portugal, they are getting slapped around now. The remaining army is demoralised, and now the second most populated city is captured, and eventually they will fully capitulate over to the Anatolians. Thousands of people are evacuated to the Americas, only important people, like, you know, the peasants still have to stay, but still. Lots of them do actually flee into the French Union, which is going to cause some stuff to happen later in the war, but we'll see. But we will see all the Anatolian armies start to really... Stop texting me! We see the Anatolian armies start to really march up Spain now, as there's no Portugal to distract them anymore, and they will just be able to do really good. We then even see two countries start to join the war, and I'll show you who they are now. As you can see, the Star Alliance, which this is actually a very outdated map. I don't know why the Finnish Star is still here. They don't even exist anymore, so they're not in the alliance. But the Star team will join this war on the side of the Anatolians. I know it's getting simpler. I'm just going to put a fat star on the Anatolian Empire. So we'll just add in a star over here to show that they are part of the Star Alliance now, although technically it's a new kind of alliance, but who cares. And yeah, cool. As now we see the Anatolians do extremely well, as they'll make a landing from the Balearic Islands in Catalonia. But then unfortunately something will happen. Their king will die of old age. He was actually like 68 years old, so he's quite old for the time. And obviously Akar, who is his son, is going to be the successor. And Akar, now being full power instead of just a general, he's going to do extremely well. He will start to have mass landings across the coast of the Lime team in France and Spain, even making a landing in the south of Corsica, and yeah, it's not very good. But then a pretty big beacon of hope will happen, as it looks like everything is lost for the Diamond Alliance. A top 10 power, well, I don't know if they were actually in the top 10, but yeah, a top 10 power will join the war. In fact, it's an entire alliance. This alliance has been in many wars with a few countries. They have had land stolen by this country, and by countries allied to it, they have had, I don't know. But we see the Circle Alliance declare war on the Star Alliance to end expansionism across Europe. The Russians will be the first to announce this, and the whole world is quite shocked, so yeah. But for now, we'll be getting rid of the Circle Alliance for 1 second, and adding in the Diamond Alliance thing, I think. Yeah, the Diamond Alliance, to show that they are on they're on the same side. We see now, with Russian troops starting to arrive in the Lime team, quite a big pushback against these armies down here, and I'm going to turn my phone off because it's starting to really annoy me, all the texting. They will push them back out of here and over even to the border of Portugal, where there's, you know, thousands of Russian troops. They're actually quite good. The Russians have quite a good military, they just never really have to use it, so that's why it's so good, because they never use it. And they did use it in Finland against these two, but, you know, not for the last couple hundred years. You can see the Lime team start to invade into Portugal, and I know I'm not going to colour it in Portugal colour, because they're not bringing it back yet, but they are occupying the territory around here, so technically kind of, and they meet up with the Atlantic Ocean, actually. And looks to be going good until we see mass genocides across Portugal. Akar, though he's a great general obviously, but the one bad thing about him is he has a really bad temper, and even though he doesn't agree with the religion things, he'll still genocide some people, because and this is quite a morale crusher for these guys, as they see their own people of their religion getting killed, and they start to, just get really demotivated. And then see the Anatolians now rejuvenated after a bit, and now we're starting to, have a lot more people enlist in the army due to nationalism. Nationalism is kind of force in this country. It's a very strong power. That's why it's so good at their military tactics. But they will come back against the Italians, going up and capturing this major city here in Spain, and actually encircling about 20,000 troops in here. That's a lot, at least for this time. And then we see a landing made in Sicily, and they are basically able to take the whole thing, as there weren't too many armies down here after that. They've been a lot of them have been moved back to Iberia, and we see them basically being welcomed with open arms. However, the Russians aren't going to welcome them with open arms, as they will now start their invasion of the Anatolians. Sweden is in this, but they're more just sending troops to Russia. So they are in the war though, but they're going to start invading into Crimea, as they are going to actually do extremely well, nearly taking the whole peninsula quite quickly. We also see them make slight invasions into Latvia, and they also, if I can get a better colour, they also make invasions into Poland. It's going quite well for the Russians so far. However, the same can't be said for the Lion team, as the 20,000 troops over here have now been fully captured by the Anatolians and killed, probably. And the entire island of Sardinia is now occupied by them, as they make a landing in Corsica, and the Lion team king is thinking about surrender. But the people won't let him, and one day he will announce what happens next. We either surrender or we keep on fighting. I guess what he will choose to do. The king will decide that his country will fight to the end. And now the Lion team is starting to conscript, or Italy Lion team, whatever you want to call them. They will start to conscript and send, what is now hundreds or thousands of troops over to this front line here. But the Anatolians are still going crazy, and they are more now trying to send them back to Italy to see if they will manage to reach Italy, which they probably won't, but who knows. But they didn't really account for one thing, and that's the Anatolians jumping from Sicily over to Italy, and they've done that now. The Anatolians have made a landing in the Italian peninsula, as they will work their way up, taking quite a lot of land, and doing extremely well against the Italians. We also see the Anatolians threaten the Balkan countries over here, saying, hey, I don't know, if you don't let us use your boats or let us get through your country to aid this rebellion here, which we could just go through Crete, but it would be easier to just do this instead. So they'll say that if you don't, then we're going to kill you, and all countries will agree, because yeah. And the Russians are facing they had a bit of a logistical issue. They didn't bring enough food down into Crimea, and the Anatolians, not good. The Anatolians are so nationalistic. They are like the US to invade. They're not a very nice country to invade, because all people in the country would fight, and they are fighting, as they now wrap fully around the Sea of Azov. I'm not saying they're fighting in the military, but more what they're doing is sort of defending their homeland in a way, but this major city is captured. And yeah, they really don't like other people in the country. But we do see the Lion team manage to push back against this down here. And a bit of a miracle is actually made, as secretly the Balkan countries have been working with the Italians, and the Anatolians won't find out about us because I said so. But they have been working to make a landing in Turkey, and one fateful night in a summer day on June 25th, 1437, we see a landing made down in Anatolia. This is actually going to do quite well, and it'll hold out for about 3 months. The Anatolians are shocked by this, and eventually they will be able to make amazing progress and kick it fully out. But this was showing that the Anatolians may not be fully invincible like people may have previously thought. After this, anger will once again seep in to Acaria, I forgot his name, but he will start to invade further up the coast of Mediterranean now, going across the southern coast of France. And then they make a landing in Corsica, and a lot of Lion team's area has been taken, and you may think they're going to surrender at this point, but the people aren't letting the king surrender. They basically say, if you surrender, we're going to eat you for dinner. Bit weird, but yeah, they say that. And we end up seeing the these guys make more invasions into the Lime team, as a lot of countries are starting to get really panicky, thinking that the Anatolians are going to fully win this war now, and basically just do bad things, and the Russians aren't doing well. These guys attacked in actually the very beginning of spring, or they started their invasion in spring. It is now, or it's been about a few months, and they're actually doing extremely well against these guys over here. They basically reliberated all of Ukraine. Not really reliberated, but they've taken all of what used to be Ukraine over here, and they start going along the border of Hungary as well, which is making Hungary very happy. Because now they have a lot of Russian soldiers coming into the country, and that's not very good. So they will kind of stop doing that for now and get really close to the capital. We see Poland and Latvia fully push the Russians out of the country, and the Latvians will start the invasion of Russia, going up into Estonia once again and taking these islands. We also see them basically take the whole thing and start to push further in, going across this area, and they basically retake all lands that they've ever owned. So yeah, they then go up St. Petersburg, cutting Russia off, or with circulation around this lake, and yeah, it's not very good. And Poland will straight away start to really send a spearhead over to the Russian capital. They once actually occupied the Russian capital for a bit, but that was only for a little bit, but now they look like they're going to be doing it again, and the Anatolians agreed to let them occupy it eventually, and they get very close in fact. So yeah, it's going well. Not for the Europeans, the Anatolians, they are smashing this wall, it's mad. And we do see now one of the most legendary moments in this history take place, as the Anatolians start to approach the Alps. Now, I would say that the leader is a bit crazy, so you really have two options here, I'd say. Option A, probably the most sensible option, you continue to invade through southern Italy and eventually capture the capital, forcing a surrender. Or option B, you do the crazy thing and go through the Alps. They're going to choose option B. The Anatolian crossing of the Alps is similar to a Napoleonic crossing of the Alps, as Akar, who is now being called Akar the Great, managed to fully cross the Alps. Actually, we do have a terrain map, but he will manage to... The Alps aren't even... What? Yeah, they will manage to cross the Alps and start the invasion into Italy, encircling this major city here. They will then scoot down the coast and get near to the capital and spearhead out, connecting up with the Adriatic. It seems at this point that Anatolian victory is inevitable, as a lot of this northern area here will start to fall over to the Anatolians, as civilians will start to lose, I guess, morale to keep being part of the country, I don't know. But the Italians are going to start really badly conscripting now, which will, you know, at first they do this, but then they manage to push back the Anatolians quite a bit, nearly actually fully out of the Italian peninsula down here, and yeah, but the Anatolians are taking pretty much all of northern Italy, so yeah, not good. But then a glimmer of hope will shine through, as a coalition will be formed to stop the Anatolians. These people have had enough of the power of the Anatolians, they've had enough of religion being genocided, and they've had enough of the Anatolians getting their way on everything. So we will see a mighty coalition be formed. Countries joining this include the Germans, the Dutch, and the French. Basically the entire Triangle Alliance. We see the Persians. We see the Persians join this. The Holy Red Empire will join this. I'm just going to put a big one in the middle here. And finally, Japan will join this. They're not really going to be fighting, obviously, but they're just going to send supplies over to the Allies. So yeah, this is not good. The Anatolians have really pushed their limits here. So we end up seeing now the Anatolians start to lock in as they see that their empire could be threatened. They will start their own invasion into Germany, however this is more into the Alps, and the people here starting a bit tired of fighting in the Alps. I wonder why. They'll be forced to do it anyway, and this is Akaria's first big mistake, because they will start to, disagree with some things. However, they are starting to now push, and they manage to take pretty much the entire Balkan area in about a year. And then over here they begin a push into the Hungarians. This is on both sides, so they start one over here, and one in this part over here. This actually is their exact colour, but who really cares? It's not the exact, but it's a bit, similar. Alright, I changed it a bit, so yeah, now they look like this. And they are kind of wanting to link up, which would definitely manage to, give them good connection, better, I guess, ways to connect. Remember earlier when I said that there were some POW, well not prisoners of war, but a lot of troops fled into this area? Yeah, they're getting absolutely killed now. The Anatolians will know about these, so yeah, they're going to invade into the French Union, And France is actually sending a lot of troops down, considering they are pretty big enemies, and yeah. And all these countries are actually starting to be pretty effective against the Anatolians. Specifically the Holy Red Empire, as they will make invasions. I'm going to colour them all in one colour. They will make several invasions into the Anatolians. This is a pretty big invasion now. This is one of the largest fronts in the world actually. It's very long around this whole area, and they connect it with this country. So yeah, it's a really big front. But the Holy King down here is telling everyone that yeah. Also, I'd say that the line team puppet state has been pretty much annexed by the Anatolians now. They wouldn't really keep existing after the line team has had this much like just stuff put on them, and yeah, so they will basically just become part of the Anatolian now. I'm not going to colour that ending, but yeah, right, you get the point. Yeah, and then we see the Anatolians start their invasion of this one here. The Persian one will start their invasion, and they'll manage to take it. But then we see Persia sign a deal to bring back an old country that hasn't existed. They do much of the same over in this one over here as well. But we do see a country that hasn't existed for many episodes return back. Some may say the oldest country. As just before the land is taken, the Persians will let the red team go. The red team has been released as they now start to invade into this here. As they retake the line team puppet state, they then invade into the Anatolian puppet state and fully take it over. The red team is back, and everyone's happy. The Holy Red Empire will immediately be happy with this, but the Anatolians are obviously not. So what we're going to see is them moving a massive amount of troops over here and kicking back them very badly. Like, yeah. Oh, and the red team ain't going to be as happy with this, but we also have Caspia returning, I guess. So shout out to anyone who likes Caspia. Nice. The red team didn't really care because that was like 1,000 years ago at this point, so who actually cares? But we do see the Anatolians push back. And that's because the Anatolians deep down, or I guess Acaria, is scared of the red team. Scared of what they could do if they ever came back, so they capture the capital of this country. But they are scared that the red team will end their empire after they betrayed the red team. Not betrayed, but they took the red team over, or they took over the red team, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Something like this will happen here. But then, the worst thing for the Anatolians ever will happen. Many countries that were formerly part of the red team will decide to join back up with the empire. And we have the red team being quite strong again. And something similar will happen with Caspia, as they will also take some land back. And the red team now being, they are quite strong actually. There was a lot of population over here, and they're using it as an army, also being backed by Persia. So yeah, number 9 in the world, and I don't know, they're probably top 20. We have the Reds pushing back against the the Anatolians tremendously now into this area down here, and nearly re-meeting up over here, but this is actually just going to go over to these guys because it's their country. They didn't want to join up with the red team again, just because. But now the worst, one of the worst things that could happens as Poland will capture the capital of Russia, and now Russia starts to crumble a bit, but they'll just move over here, which is another populous area. The Anatolians will basically conquer this land, and this is also really bad for Poland, as now there's a much bigger front for the Anatolians to fight on over here, and yeah, just like that, it's not very good. But the Polish will now start their the Germans will actually start to invade Poland, and the Anatolians start to see that the Polish are actually extremely incompetent while getting invaded, and yeah, the Polish are only really strong. I mean, they're not even strong anymore. They are actually, they kind of told the Anatolians they're a bit stronger than they actually were, but they're not strong at all. And the Anatolians are starting to see that the only reason that Poland exists really is because of them, and that they're strong. Otherwise they would be a lot more Russian, I'd say. And the Germans will actually manage to capture their capital, so we have a bit of a capital swap over here, so yeah. And this will cause a complete collapse in Poland, so cool. Oh, some of this land will be occupied by the Hungarians as well, and they will take a good chunk down here. The Anatolians will basically take control of the Polish occupied areas now, and they will become part of their occupation. But the Anatolians are starting to crumble a bit. As their, I guess, Hungarian offensive is pushed back, this coalition is extremely strong. And after a bit of fighting, once again the Russian capital is liberated after about a year of it being besieged, it is captured again. And they now start what is known as the Great March down south. Terrible name, but hey, who cares? As the Russian forces will start to have a big march down in the south, taking over a lot of land. They even start their invasion of Poland now. as they will basically go in and take over the rest of this land like this. Pretty nice and cool. And the Latvians are pooing themselves now because big front, and unfortunately for any Latvian lovers, they will fall very quickly. And yeah, these guys weren't as strong as they looked. I mean, they weren't that strong in the first place, but they have now fallen over to the empires. And poetically, they will actually try and come back one time. They'll rebel away from Russia and Germany, and they will do this, but it's not going to go well. The Polish will try everything, but half the city gets captured by Russia, and the Latvians will basically get squeezed back to just the capital city. And then on the same day, the Latvians and the Polish both fall once again. Some of the best friends in this Wixo have been killed. And now it's pretty much just the Anatolians versus the entire coalition of the great, I don't know, the anti-expansion coalition, whatever we call it. But I'm also going to say now the Holy Red Empire is kind of elite, since, you know, it doesn't need to be holy anymore because there's already a Red Empire that's back. But hey, Chris, that was a bit short-lived, but who actually cares about them? No one actually ever said anything about these guys. But it starts to go really bad for the Anatolians now, as they are fully kicked out of the Italian peninsula, and now the Italians will start the march up, reconquering Slovenia over here, or Venice, I guess, and this German occupied area is gone already. They'll then work with the Italians, even though these two are a bit of a kind of rivalry in Europe, because they are both some strong countries, but we see the Anatolians get pushed out here, and the Hungarian front is going to collapse as well, as they'll get locked in here and also slain. Not going very well, is it? As now something really bad will happen, as the Portuguese, making a landing from the Americas, will come back into Iberia, and it's apparent at this point that the Anatolians are collapsing. With the return of Egypt, they will start to rebel and take a lot of their original areas. In fact, I'll draw what they look like. As they rebel in the Wayland, will look like something like this, and the Jabuticans are actually going to take the rest, taking this. We then see the return of the Libyans, as they will rebel over around here, and yeah, not very good. And now the Anatolians are really in a pickle, because it would take them, they'd have to travel all the way around the Mediterranean Sea to just supply over here, and that's really hard. As now we see one of the greatest naval invasions ever happen, with the Lime team, the Italians, landing in Corsica, retaking the island. They also do much the same with half of Sardinia, and also start an invasion into Sicily over here. And they actually managed to pretty much take the whole island, including down here, so yeah. But now the front over here has collapsed. The Balearic Islands are retaken. A landing is made from them in Spain, and the Anatolians are getting fastly pushed back. So yeah, as the entire Spanish front will collapse, and Portugal will basically be fully liberated around this point, as they will make a very big invasion over here. And yeah, as may feel a bit rushed, but it's not rushed, it's actually happening very quickly. The Anatolians are collapsing, and eventually Acaria the Great will have an assassination attempt on him. It doesn't work, but it's an attempt. This shows how unhappy the people are with the government, as many more will start to follow in other years, and the Russians will now deeply push back against the Anatolians. And yeah, over around this part here, this is not very good. Then the red team will invade into here, pretty much fully take back the occupied lands, and they'll restart an invasion. Or start the invasion hundreds of years after their former defeat in the War of Succession. They have now come back and will start to wipe the floor with the Anatolians. But as we can see in this area, the blue team is taking back a lot of the land that they used to own over here, back when they were the strongest country in the world, which is a long time ago. And much of the same will happen with the red team, as they will take a lot of land around here, and yeah. And an old country will rebel. As Ukraine over here will come back, actually including Azerbaijan, they actually can't have had a union. They will come into Crimea and partially actually occupy half of it, but then the Russians are going to come down and basically completely kick the Anatolians out, and now invade into Crimea, fully taking the peninsula. And this area will obviously just be going back to Hungary. Now the Anatolians are on the collapse watch, as their African colonies will now get destroyed. Now Portugal will take a lot of it. Our Lime team will swiftly manage to take the whole thing, and yeah. Then see what the Lime team had been planning throughout the whole war finally pay off, as they will take Crete and Cyprus. But then make a landing in southern Anatolia. They'll start to go up the Anatolian peninsula, capturing many major cities along the way, as they have just been knocked out completely. We then also have the Russians making a landing in the north over here. And then an old country returns as the blue Turkish country. These are the OG Anatolian country. This is what the Anatolians came from. I mean, they used to be like a beigeish colour, then like they turned into beige after something, and then I think they came back, but yeah. I could call them Constantinople, but they're not Constantinople, as Russia has just said that they're occupying this area now, so hey. So Russia will start to occupy Constantinople before Thrace will declare its independence away. And then we see the Red Front continue to be brutal as it will march up here. And after this time, eventually Akaria will be shot and killed, and a new leader will be put in charge. Or is, I guess, not his son, but a new entire, I guess, royal family or something will be put in charge. And we eventually see the surrender of the Anatolians over to the powers just as their capital is captured. So, yeah, the Russians will capture it and keep it for now. The Anatolians will officially surrender, and they will also, I guess, just be white now because they have collapsed. But now we will take a look at a peace treaty for the coalition of the Great Coalition, whatever, anti-expansion coalition, that's what I called it. And yeah, it's going to be quite a big one, so make sure to look at this now. So this is what I think I like for the peace treaty. Starting off west and going east, we see that Portugal will regain their Moroccan colony down here, as well as no longer have any invaded land by Anatolia. Yeah, they got pretty battered by Anatolia in the war, but they will get a little bit of land over here, back in Morocco. And yeah, we also see the return of Algeria over here, as they will be returned, they will just come back. We also see the Tunisian Carthaginian country also come back as well. Then we see Libya actually gain quite a lot more land than they had before. I don't think they had this over here, but they do now. And yeah, that's just because they probably had some of the worst beatings in the war. Down here in Africa, we have the Djiboutians getting this land, even though they didn't do anything. They just get this land because. And then we see the return of the blue team. The second oldest country in the world is now officially back. Now going out to Poland and Latvia, we see them get completely divided, as the Germans are going to take all of this land over here, now having them be very stretchy. They are huge now. We see the Hungarians get all of this northern land here, and the Russians will get the rest of these two countries, and they have officially been killed. Now we see the division of the Anatolians. As over here, Russia will once again get control of Crimea, and now they are, yeah, pretty much, they're a lot stronger in Europe now. Then we see Ukraine pretty much make a comeback, and they actually do have Azerbaijan now. They decided to kind of unite in the peace treaty, but I'm going to make them their original colour because why not? Then we have the return of obviously the red team. As the red team is reinstated and given all of this land as compensation for being occupied, I guess. We have the magenta-ish country down here getting this, and the red team will also gain this country as well because why not? And we actually have the red team having dual capitals now, being over here and in the real capital city, or they're all, I don't know, but yeah, they have this. And then we have the Anatolians getting pretty damn divided. First, the Russians will actually gain a puppet state down here in Constantinople or Istanbul. We also see a Thracian nation over here. And the return of the dark blue Turkish country as well. We have the Lime team probably getting some of the better land from this war. They get Crete, Cyprus, and also a colony over here in Turkey. And then we have this weird pink Syrian Turkish country over here, and that's I believe it, except for the Caspian areas. We also have Caspia regaining their independence, and this map is now looking a lot better. I actually love this peace treaty. We have had to say goodbye to a few nations like thing, but Anatolia is still here. They are very different though. They are under strict obligations not going out and expand like that again, and they are basically kept now. It's kind of like a puppet state, but not really. They are very heavily monitored by all nations though. The government has changed beyond recognition, but they are still being wary in case, people want to do something. So now let's take a look at some capitals. As the blue country, we'll have this here. Constantinople will obviously have this here, but they are a Russian puppet. Thrice will have this here. This magenta country will have this down here. Ukraine, Caucasia will have this here. And I believe that is it for new countries. So all capitals have now been given. So yeah, quite nice really. And the Anatolians have now been defeated and will, I guess, just now be part of history. This was a very costly war. It wasn't quite as bad as the War of Succession, but around 10-ish million people died in this war. Quite brutal, so yeah, I'd say it's around 12.5 million who died. And just scanning quickly, I believe I've covered everything now. But that's going to do it for today's video. This was definitely one of my favourite episodes to record yet, and just plan it out for a while, and now finally getting to do it is crazy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A lot of countries have now come back, like the red team over here, dual capital. I might remove that in the next episode, though, who knows. Others have Egypt, Caspia as well, the Libyans over here, Carthage, Algeria, all these old countries, also the Blue Turkish. So yeah, a lot of countries came back. I guess you could call this the War of Rebirth in a way. And I guess Ukraine, but they're not really, like, important. They're not that, I mean, they're old, but they're not as important. But that is going to do it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.